Somewhere right now, a doctor is sitting across from a patient and saying 3 words that will change everything. You have cancer. It steals time. It steals people. It hollows out families. Takes the young, takes the old. Doesn't care who you are or what you still have left to do. And somewhere underneath the grief and the fear, the first question that surfaces is almost always the same. Why is this so common now? What did we do wrong? What did the modern world create? That question feels right. It feels like there should be a culprit. Something we built, or ate, or breathed into existence. But the truth is older than that. Much older. Most people assume cancer was rare in ancient times. The logic seems obvious. No processed food, no cigarettes, no industrial chemicals pumped into the air and water. Ancient humans moved constantly, ate whole foods, lived close to the land. Surely cancer was something civilization manufactured. In 2016, inside a cave in South Africa, researchers found a piece of bone, a foot bone, from a human ancestor, not Homo sapiens, something older, a creature that walked the earth roughly 1.7 million years ago, before our species existed, before language, before fire was controlled, before anything we'd recognize as human. The bone had a tumor growing in it, a malignant bone cancer, osteosarcoma. Not a fracture, not an injury, a tumor growing slowly, over time, in a creature that had no word for what was happening to it. No understanding of why its foot hurt, no way to ask for help. That is the oldest cancer ever found in the human lineage, and it wasn't alone. The same study found a benign spinal tumor in another skeleton from roughly the same period. Finding both nearly 2 million years ago tells you something that shifts the entire frame. Cancer is not new, cancer is ancient. But here's the problem. Cancer mostly attacks soft tissue, organs, skin, blood, muscle. Soft tissue doesn't fossilize, it disappears over centuries. What survives is bone. So everything we find in the fossil record is only a fraction of the cancers that actually existed. Scientists call this preservation bias. We're only seeing the ones that left a mark, something hard enough to last 2 million years. The rest are gone. That's why mummies matter. Mummies preserve soft tissue. Researchers using CT scans found tumors in Egyptian mummies thousands of years old, internal cancers. Invisible to any ancient physician, readable now by machines that didn't exist a generation ago. One study scanned 137 mummies. Cancer showed up in several of them, and ancient physicians were paying attention, even without the machines. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, written in Egypt around 1600 BCE, describes bulging tumors of the breast. The text doesn't offer a cure. It says plainly, there is none. A physician, 4,000 years ago, looking at something he couldn't explain, couldn't fix, and being honest about it. Around 400 BCE, Hippocrates gave the disease its name, karkinos, Greek for crab. The swollen veins around a tumor looked like crab legs reaching outward. The Roman physician Celsus translated it into Latin, into cancer, the word we still use, thousands of years, multiple civilizations. The same thing, observed, documented, named, and never understood. To understand why it's ancient, you have to understand what it actually is. A cell divides. The DNA gets copied. Most of the time, the copy is perfect. But sometimes, randomly, quietly, something goes wrong, a mutation slips through. Usually the body catches it. Usually the damaged cell gets destroyed before it causes problems. But sometimes one escapes. It divides again. And again. It builds into a mass. It spreads. Mutations don't need cigarettes. They don't need pollution or processed food. They happen naturally. Every time a cell divides, because copying billions of molecular instructions perfectly, every single time, isn't possible. The more cells you have, the more divisions happen. The longer you live, the more chances there are for something to slip through. This isn't a flaw in the system. This is what the system is. Dinosaurs got cancer. Ancient fish got cancer. Trees can get cancer. Any organism with cells that divide carries this risk. It has existed since multicellular life first appeared on Earth, roughly 600 million years ago. So did ancient humans get cancer less often? Probably yes. But not for the reason anyone assumes. It wasn't the diet. It wasn't the exercise. It wasn't the clean air. It was time. Most ancient humans died young. Infection, injury, predators, famine. Average life expectancy for a prehistoric human, 25 to 35 years. Most cancers develop after 50. If you die at 30 from a tooth infection or a lion attack, cancer never gets to finish what it started. Ancient humans weren't living in a cancer-free world. They were dying of other things before cancer could catch up. Here's what nobody tells you. Cancer was never a disease civilization created. It's the price of being alive. Not a punishment. Not a consequence of doing something wrong. A consequence of being a multicellular organism that lives long enough for probability to catch up. Every division, every copied strand of DNA, Every year of life adds to the odds. Ancient humans had the same biology, the same cells dividing, the same mutations happening quietly in the dark. They just rarely lived long enough to find out. Modern medicine changed that equation. It eliminated or reduced most of the things that killed people young: infection, injury, famine, childbirth. So now millions of people live into their 60s, 70s, 80s, right into the window where cancer does its most effective work. And now we can detect a tumor the size of a fingernail inside the body. Ancient physicians could only see what was on the surface. Most internal cancers went completely unnoticed. People died of weakness, of unknown illness, of old age, and something was growing inside them that no one ever named. This history isn't just interesting, it's useful. Elephants carry extra copies of a gene called TP53, a cancer-suppressing gene. They're large animals with far more cells than humans. They live long lives. Their cancer rates should be enormous. They're not. Scientists are studying those genes right now, looking for something that could be applied to human treatment. The answer to one of medicine's hardest problems may have been sitting inside elephants' biology for millions of years, and the fossil record itself has become a research tool. By comparing ancient bone tumors to modern ones, researchers can track how certain cancers have changed over time, which conditions trigger them, which ones have stayed identical across 2 million years of evolution. Knowing that cancer is ancient doesn't make the diagnosis easier to hear. It doesn't make the treatment less brutal or the loss less real, but it changes something. This is not a modern failure. This is not something that went wrong recently. This is a 1.7 million-year-old problem that the human species spent most of its existence running from: dying of infection before it could catch us, dying of injury before it could reach us, until now. Until we finally lived long enough and learned enough to turn around and face it. A 1.7 million-year-old bone, a tumor, a creature that never knew what was happening inside it. And for the first time in all that time, we do.